Well, listen, chaps, thank you so much for joining us here at Farley House. I hope that you feel privileged to be our first guest on the Forces Sport podcast.
So privileged.
Don't sound so excited. Well, first of all, Jules, I mean, we've been down to Farley House over the years. You know, Rocco's been here. Well, we think it's your 10th, 11th season.
I'm not too sure.
He
I don't
doesn't
No one knows.
himself.
No one knows.
No one knows his age. No one knows how his season.
Exactly.
But you're still here, Rocco,
Yes, I'm
and
still here.
we're pleased to see that. There have been temptations, I know, but it's always good. And in Josh's own words, you're looking. He didn't use hot. He said you're looking good this season. You're looking good. He said.
Is it the best he could come up with?
40 going on 20 is what I said.
What?
He also said that.
Come on, man.
But yeah, you are you feeling good? No niggles this year?
No niggles this year. Been training sessions been going well for me personally. I've been speaking to the coaches and all that, tweaking the things that I needed to do in order to get me out there and the playing field. So yeah, I've been enjoying every single moment of it. So yeah.
Has this fly past been organised by you?
We've had the red arrows. We've had the red arrow. I saw all sorts out over here. Not that one.
Called in a few favours.
Social Secretary Josh McNally. And you are back into training, having had shoulder surgery.
Yeah. So
we
yeah.
expected you to be in a sling today, but no.
No. I've been. The recovery's been pretty good. Had surgery about 11 weeks ago now, and yeah, it feels great. Back in full training this week. And hopefully back in next week.
Lovely.
Get back involved.
How's the lungs though?
Yeah, awful. Awful.
Slightly belatedly, congratulations
Thank you.
on your England cap.
Oh, yes.
Were you surprised when that call?
Yeah, usually I keep saying it in interviews, but people keep telling me not to. I genuinely had probably closed the door. I think I've been involved before when I was Irish and been involved in camps and I was 30 this summer, 31 this summer, and I was just like, nah, a summer tour, they'll look at some young guys, bring some young guys in, but no, like about March, April time last year, sort of got a bit of a nod from Hoops and the coaches here that they were looking at me and just sort of to continue my form and yeah, lo and behold, got called into the squad and got capped. So yeah, like it gives you a bit more of a drive, a bit more of a hunger. I think before that I was just sort of thinking, oh, I'll be a Premiership stalwart, Bath stalwart, I'll just sort of finish my career like that. But no, to get a cap and to keep pushing in, that door's not closed is sort of really sort of exciting
there's no
to go.
shame in being a Premiership stalwart.
No, yeah, I know, but like it's just nice to go to now come back in with a bit of an energy to go like, right, that door's not closed and I can keep pushing for it. I can go push for it.
For you, Rocco, were you able to give Josh any advice what it's like to be around that England setup?
It's kind of different now. Like before, when I was involved with Stuart Lancaster, like things were different back then. But now with Eddie and the style of rugby he wants, like the boys to play, it's different. Like I've been talking to Tone and them. They said like the training is different to what it used to be. So yeah. But yeah. Congrats on the call out, buddy.
Thank you.
But Josh, you did say when you came to Bath, you sort of saw it as a club that you were more likely to maybe another fly past, another McNally special.
Yeah.
You did sort of feel that Bath was the kind of club that where you felt you could, be looked at by England better. Do you? Yeah,
definitely. I think I left Irish with that in mind. I didn't leave Irish thinking they weren't going to be where they are now. I think I left because I just wanted to put myself into a team that pushes for top four, pushes for top Europe honours, and that's the best place to get noticed. I think looking back now, I've made probably completely the right decision. Irish are obviously doing very well, new stadium, new style of rugby, like they've gone from strength to strength, but for me personally on my journey, I can't look back and think I've got any regrets on moving here, because I've flourished here, developed so much more here, learnt from the guys around me that have played international rugby, and we've got such a wealth of that here that probably put me my best foot forward, getting sort of recognised by England.
One thing I noticed this week was that Conor O'Shea, who is the player development coach with England, with the RFU, he said that a lot of the guys they're having now are great rugby players, but their backgrounds, they don't have a life behind them. These are the youngsters that are coming through. There's no leadership qualities on the pitch. You're a Lance Corporal, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a corporal.
Sorry about that.
What?
Yeah,
last time you checked.
Is it those leadership qualities that perhaps stand you out then? Is that? Is it those leadership qualities that perhaps stand you out then? Is that? Is it those leadership qualities that perhaps stand you out then? Is it those leadership qualities that perhaps stand you out then? Is that? Is it those leadership qualities that perhaps stand you out then? Is that? 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 why you're in demand as obviously you've got the ability to back you up, but do you bring something different to professional rugby?
I think so, yeah. I think there's a lot of guys exactly like that. There's guys coming through the academy and they only know rugby. Like, we've actually done a lot of work on like the whys you play rugby. Like we've got psychologists of why you play rugby, and like Rocco shared stories, and boys have shared stories about like why they play it, not just because it was they played at school, played academy and came through. Like, boys have had such different journeys, and you tap into that and it brings you together. And I think the skills that we bring from the military, like they're very transferable. Like,
there was a session last week, and we were talking about like the reason why we play rugby, and hearing most of the lads like they got nothing else apart from rugby, and that gives us like a great privilege. You know, it's a great honor, like coming from a forces background. You know, like speaking to the boys and encouraging them. Like there's other things you can do out there. You know, just pushing them to the right direction, basically.
Were any of your stories sort of around tours of Afghanistan? You know,
yes, yeah. So it's from Fiji to the forces and to Germany and to like life out there in Afghanistan, and it puts everything into perspective for the boys, and the coaches were asking them during the team meeting, what do you feel about like the story from my side and Josh's side. And most of the boys, I've got like positive feedbacks from the boys, so which is great. So yeah.
As the senior pros, then around the club, how does that make you feel? Do you feel it as a bit of an extra responsibility?
A little bit. I think we've got some great lads here that the young lads are so hungry to learn off. Like
Oh, Joe.
No, we don't need you, mate. It's all right.
Joe Cock and a singer, just because this is a radio show, by the way. Joe Cock and a singer trying to interrupt.
He thinks he's in the military.
Did he learn that from his dad?
He's a forces brat.
I know.
I left it.
I hope you correct him. I don't know.
Well, I can't really do that.
He'll be out on the parade square later.
Exactly. But we were talking about on the way down, and this kind of leads on. Obviously, Rocco, you know, you've been here for an age, as we've already discussed, but Josh, you very quickly went into sort of the captaincy role. Do you think that's in thanks to your military background as well?
Yeah, there's huge things. We've done so much work on like leadership stuff here, and it's so different because we've got such a wealth of experience here. Like I sometimes sit in that room and I'm like, what am I doing here? Because we've got Anthony, like British and Irish Lion, like guys who've got wealth of experience internationally, won European Cups, like, and you think like, what, I've played in the Championship a bit and things like that's. But just having that sometimes like that clear head and just those things that I've brought from the military, it just gives a different perspective on things.
It's nice symmetry how they're.
I know, it's weird. It's almost like they've done it on purpose.
It's like watching Anton Deck.
Maybe this is part of their stretching routine. This is what I'm thinking. But Rocco, what's he like as a captain?
Awful.
Oh,
honestly.
Come on.
No. He's there's a couple of games where you lead the boys into victory. Yeah.
I got a better captaincy record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true, very true. There's 3 on the bounce there, I remember, and then Charlie Hughes came in on the following week and he lost. And you were like, why Hughes? Why did you walk in and grab the captaincy? Give it back to us.
A lot of civilians always ask, but they're in the military, how is it that they're able to play professional rugby? Is there something that you have to give back to the military throughout the season? How is it that you're here on a sabbatical? How does it work?
I met up with my boss yesterday for a coffee, and we spoke about giving back to the regiment, you know, like coaching the regiment and stuff like that. Off season last season, during off season, I went back and did a few courses in Tidworth just to get the soldiering stuff sorted and all that. So yeah.
Is it strange going back?
Not really, because I've been in Warminster where like camp is just like 2 minutes away from me. So like me going into camp is kind of like pretty much what I do every day. Like after this, I'm going straight back there.
Yeah.
So do you have to physically go in uniform as well? Is that not quite weird?
No, there's no uniform.
Is there not?
It's got a beard.
Yeah.
I mean,
true. Yeah.
Yeah, he's already broken all the rules.
When was the last time I wore a uniform? Like
Probably
2000.
for a
For the photograph.
He stitched me up. He didn't
Do the same, did you?
Yeah. No, so we did a remembrance photo shoot.
Oh, okay.
It didn't turn up,
But he
you know.
didn't turn up,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I know how passionate you both are about playing for the Army and the RAF, and that still remains, Josh.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I think like I try and keep my hand in. Like my actual work that I do for the Air Force is limited, but what I can try and give back is probably where I've probably stepped up a little bit over the last few years. Like I think trying to drip feed as much leadership stuff back into the sports board.
Yeah.
Because it's very different. Like there's very different situations. Like even though we're both out, Rocco sort of speaks to his CO, and that's how it's dealt with. Whereas the RAF, it's all dealt with the sports board. So my trade and everything carries on. Like they're surviving without me, but I do a lot with the sports board and just try and make RAF sport a little bit better. And that's what I hope to go back and do when I go back in. But
are they getting better? No.
It's too early days.
Yeah.
Early days.
No,
we're
no.
in a transition period.
I was like,
That's what he's been told to say for 5 years.
But yeah, like obviously, COVID hit military sport pretty hard. I think
yeah.
there's not been much sport, and there still isn't much sport going on. I think they're just slowly getting back in, so it's just trying to get that back to. Obviously, when we came back from COVID, it was quite an accelerated process, but just trying to help RAF Rugby and RAF Sport, like what's the best way of sort of coming back out of COVID, what's the best, like you don't need to worry about strength, you don't need to worry about fitness, it's just about getting your core skills back, things like that like just changing perception on what, because that's all we did here. We trained when we were in COVID in lockdown, that's all we could do was just train running with weights. Like all we need to do is actually get the ball back in our hands, and that's what everyone's craving to do.
Yeah.
So just trying to like help out a bit there and sort of give my sort of thoughts where I can.
Looking at the players that are from the military now playing at the highest level, there's you two, and of course there's the others as well at Northampton and Siva down at Bristol as well. Are you excited that there is this pathway now for military players? Because I think you played Army under-23s, then you were playing at the Army, and then you were playing in a prestigious match, I think, between the Army and Northampton. The Mobs Memorial match where you were scouted. Are you excited that soldiers joining up today could one day follow in your footsteps?
Yes, 100%. I mean, that shows how what the forces can provide out there in the professional sports, professional stages, isn't it? Yeah. So there's a couple of sevens tournaments out there, and I was training one of my sevens team, and I looked across the field, and there was like talents all over the place, and it's so exciting. Like I know some of the boys are gonna follow the same path that we took. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting journey for them. Yeah.
And post rugby, Rocco, do you think you'll go back into? I know you haven't left the Army, but go back full-time Army and happy to do that?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, that's one of the things I spoke with my boss yesterday. Like all these courses that I've done during off-season and getting in touch with my bosses out there in Lucas in Scotland. It's just getting me ready for like the transition to back into the forces. So it doesn't. So as soon as we'll go back, it'll be straight into it.
I think the Bath fans are going to cry for a year when Rocco leaves.
Well,
when that day certainly comes.
Nobody knows when he joined.
No one knows how old he is.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sure it's etched in.
Never ending. Josh will be here in his wheelchair.
What am I? I'm 28 now, so I've got another 4. Yeah.
Just to add on to like what the pathway is, like me and like Rocco didn't join the military to play professional rugby, and that's probably the biggest message I try and tell. And I think the RF sometimes forget that they just thought they recruited a professional rugby player, and I tell them all the under-23 coaches, like we all come through that pathway, playing under-23s, playing force like academy. Into
and there was
seniors.
no dream for
I never joined up to play professional rugby, and it was the RAF that sort of pushed us through into that. And you probably could ask the same with the other two as well. They didn't really, and I think it's the drive of the RAF, and that's what I try and drive into a lot of the young lads now. Is like you haven't got to be a Premiership standard player now, but like if you want the drive for it, and the hunger, like that's
definitely.
That'll be how you get there.
Yeah. You're both fathers at the moment, fathers of sons. Is the military and is professional rugby something that possibly, and even if you had daughters, something that you would encourage in your children? Do you see this as a good life?
Yeah, Elijah, my son, Elijah, he's 9 years old and he loves rugby. He got told off in school for they were playing touch rugby, and he was just like shoving kids off they were like, no, you're not allowed to do that. You just tag rugby. So yeah, but it's great to see the passion of rugby is there. So I'm so looking forward to him doing the training and doing rugby sessions as well. So yeah.
What about the army? Would you encourage that as well?
I'll leave that to him. You know,
Okay.
he makes his own choice. I trust him to make the right decision. So yeah, if army is what he wants to join, then so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be happy either way.
Yeah. Definitely.
And Josh, what about
Yeah, I think I've probably got some of my greatest memories and friendships and stuff have all come from rugby and the military. So I've literally got no regrets from both. So I think I'd always that's the reason I joined the military. Is I followed my dad around and travelled the world, saw that lifestyle, and that's why I wanted to join. So if I can only rub half of that off to Toby, maybe he would feel the same way. He absolutely loves rugby, loves coming to games, having that environment. He's a little bit young to probably start playing, but he sort of understands what friendship and the sort of lifestyle we live from rugby. So I think he if he wants to do it, crack on. It'd be amazing.
Just going to wait for the lawnmower to go past.
They know exactly.
Did you organise that as well?
How many times have they gone by? Every time we're having a meeting
they see
over
our
there.
schedule. This is where we sit and have meetings, and as soon as they won't come past all day, as soon as we start having a meeting,
Bring out the
this
brass
guy
band.
on a tractor will be like, oh, it's time to cut the grass. They're having a meeting.
That's how they time their day.
Yeah.
Well,
Being dads, parents, the one thing that's been out today is head injuries and the physicality in professional rugby. Is that something that concerns you guys, or do you think that World Rugby are taking enough of
about us or about the kids playing it, or
the whole
in
picture?
general?
The whole
Yeah, I think
picture.
so. The hoops we have to jump through now to play again after it's stepped up another level now.
Another level, yeah.
And I went through a concussion last year. I didn't take the field until I knew I was right. A lot of players now are very understanding on what you need to get back if you don't feel right. There's tests you have to do.
Yeah.
I just think that obviously now it's from a generation gone past has come into the front page news now about it. Our generation knows so much more about it now, and I think you won't see that. We'll have a generation which will suffer, but I think our generation now will be all right from that. There's enough protocols in place now that I think
a couple of years ago, 5-7 years ago, they were not taking it seriously, but now there's different test stuff coming in, and there's different protocols that you need to take, and so that shows that they are really concerned about this and they are on top of it.
To you as players.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, and you'll see very rarely now under these new protocols someone, if they get concussed on a Saturday, it'll be very, very rare they'll make the next Saturday. They reckon now the turnaround's around 10 to 12 days.
10 to 12 days, yeah.
There's a new study coming in with saliva. So,
with a swab thing.
You can do a swab and they can find markers in the saliva to say whether you can cuss and stuff. So I've got no dramas in it. Obviously it's a sport, it's a contact sport, it still will happen, but the protocols around it and the help around it, I think it's a much safer place to play.
Yeah.
Do you guys model yourselves on other players? Was there a player that you look back on and think, I want to emulate him, I want to be like that player, or is it very much I am my own person? And
I wasn't really a big fan of rugby. When I grew up, I didn't really watch it that much.
Mate, up until now, I still don't watch rugby. I swear. If there's rugby on the TV, I'd be like, nah, I didn't want to watch it. That is it. But, it's just not me. Nah.
Yeah.
That's probably quite healthy in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's just
You obviously. You're in touch with friends at other clubs and stuff like that, so you're in touch with it.
You have
it in your face every day, but you don't just choose to watch it.
Don't just watch rugby as on a downtime or something like that.
As someone as relaxed as you, Rocker, that really doesn't surprise me. Someone as laid back. I can't believe we've got this far into our interview. We haven't even mentioned inter-services rugby.
I
don't know. I'm not saying you're the best of friends, just because you've been at the same club for a couple of years. But does it make it difficult thinking about inter-services rugby when you've formed a rapport as teammates?
We actually haven't had to deal with it.
No, of course you haven't. Yeah. You came in.
I came in and then we had COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's been 2
we won't have
years.
to, yeah. So yeah, we haven't actually had to deal with it. It'll be interesting. Like it'll be good. Like I think for me, like for inter-services now, like it'll be a very different feel going back. I think just trying to, like, I'll just try and enjoy it now. I think like I've gone through such like a yo-yo with the RAF, like of being horrendous to winning it, like winning it outright, things like that. To I think now we're just trying to bring in some new youngsters. I just want to go back and enjoy it and just try and impart as much as I can. Just try and leave it in a better place. I think I'll go back and like genuinely thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, I think like the competition level the next game will be like up there because of like most of the boys been playing at a professional level right now at Division 1 as well. So, but yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. It's got to be exciting.
We're really good. Like I think, and there'll be such a hunger for it. Like we haven't in-service happened for 2 years now, so there'll be such a hunger for it for guys to come out. I know there's going to be a combined services game in a couple of months, so like there'll be a huge hunger for it.
Are you allowed to be available for that game, or is it?
Yeah, I think now because it's become I think the combined service is taking a bit of a different turn. I think like the UCAF game is like, I think now they're playing against the Rugby for Heroes. I think there'd be no worth in like me and Rocco going back to playing it. It's become a bit of a testimonial game. So as much as it's obviously a great honour to play for UCAF, like, I think you'd be better off getting some guys, give them the experience.
Were you disappointed then that game against the Barbarians was
hugely
off the radar?
I think I've had numerous conversations in the past with Andy Sanger and Doc Cox about just like if you want to get UCAF Rugby back to where it wants to be, like I think you need to, like, if you want the best players in the military playing, you need to go and pitch it against like the Barbars, those sort of games, like that, because then you spark our interest, like you spark the top guys' interest, because playing against Rugby for Heroes and a bit of when they get some like old retired players playing, it doesn't really spark anyone's interest.
But also sorry Jules, but the club interest for letting you out.
Like, they don't want to let us play on a Wednesday night and us get injured in it. So I think like I genuinely like remember my first few years playing RF Rugby, and they played against like a packed out King's Home against like Samoa.
Samoa.
Teams like that, and like some of like the autumn touring teams, and like genuinely I think that you could compete if you had like the right back in, get the right players playing, like you could compete at that level. But
does professional rugby allow for something like the remembrance match? Because as you say, you are contracted to Bath, they've invested a lot of money in you. Do they want you to go out and play for another match where you could end up getting injured, even if it is a remembrance match?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest, like, it is a bit of a nightmare for the club. Like the club is like, do we, like, it's quite early on in the season, do we want to be like putting more load, because everything's like GPS now, everything is all more load, so the game has changed, like everything gets monitored in a week, and us going to play 40-60 minutes against a team like the Barbars or something like that is going to be tough, but you get the buy-in from us and we want to play, and it's like we have that hunger to play and represent, then it'd be a different story. At the moment I don't think it's quite there, and that's like my pretty honest opinion.
Happy with your conditioning this year, going into this season?
Different attacking game. It's very different compared to like the last 2 seasons. I remember the boys say like after the game last week, and even though we lost, but for some reason we were like really happy with like the performance, and it was there was glimpse of like really good stuff from the boys, like, and we were really excited, like coming at the back of a loss like that and into this week. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. And
are there players from other clubs that make you sit up and go, oh, I've got to mark them next week? I'm thinking of
there's young boys coming in. There's a lot of young boys and with like 6 feet as well. And I was looking at it. I was looking at the video. I was like, I don't know, but yeah.
That's how they make you watch the games, isn't it? You have to do it for your homework.
Analysis.
Analysis.
Rather than doing it at home.
We've definitely like changed our style this year. I think Dave Williams, the new coach, come in, has just completely changed the mindset.
Changes everything,
And I think like from reflecting like on the last couple of years, like we've come off the pitch, forwards are absolutely battered, and the backs have sort of like barely seen the ball. And and I think like this pre-season, like I haven't been involved in much. Like, I think boys are coming off, like Rocco, Anthony, JJ, like actually smiling, like they've actually like been touching the ball, like getting the ball in their hands in space, and like I said, like Dave talks about this performance, the performance scoreboard and the actual scoreboard.
The actual scoreboard, yeah.
And if we're winning in our performance, then that's sort of why you can come away from the game, even though we lost. Like, be like, yeah, we're pretty happy with that, and we can keep growing. So we're getting the ball more in these guys' hands, and it's very, very exciting to watch.
Everyone's happy.
Well, professional sport, winning is the key thing. But do you think there's been a backlash at the way that rugby was going, and that it was relying so heavily on the forwards?
On the forwards, yeah.
Not just for the players, but those of us paying to go and watch you were coming away perhaps feeling not cheated, but a little disappointed that it wasn't a decent game of rugby. Whereas now you're saying it's a bit more expansive. Is that? Do you think coaches now are looking to employ an expansive brand of rugby?
It's because of these new rules coming into as well, and it has a massive impact on the game. It changes the game. A lot of kicking, so we're forced into that open play rugby.
And that's
kind
what
of
we
like
want to see.
Exactly.
See,
so
you sidestep your way out of a phone box. For those of you old enough to remember what a phone box is.
Big red things.
That's probably the reason why most of like our back three stuff, like our back three players, all the backs, I mean, are happy with like the performance that we had last week and the training session too as well, because we get to like get our hands on the ball and do what we love the most, and run and sidestep and do that, and then
it's brutal for us. We have to run after them.
But
it genuinely has been like, I think people have modelled themselves on like Sarries and Exeter for like a long time now. Like, they've been the most successful clubs in the country of how they suffocate you, don't want the ball, just defend, and all of a sudden Quins win the league and everyone's going to just throw it around now. And I think it just proves that you don't have to win that way. And like, I think for us it's been Dave, like one of Dave's first meetings was like, are you going to be brave enough to like risk it all to win? And I think everyone just sort of took a sit back in their chair. Like, we probably weren't like that last year. Like, and I think now some of the offloads, like at the moment they're not sticking. Like there's a couple that aren't stick, but some do stick, and we're going to see some unbelievable tries. And that's like ultimately like why we want to play rugby. We want to come off the park thinking we've just scored a bonus point try and we've battered a team, rather than thinking we've won 6-3 from a hard-fought game and Rocco's not even dirty.
Yeah, you have your set plays, you have your drills. How much, as you said, you're given the confidence. How much license are you given just to, if you get the ball, just to do something, create something? How much?
Like the coaches are giving us like the green light to like do what you want to do with what the defense presents, and then it's up to like the players inside you and outside you to react to that and to make it a good decision. So it's been
some of the moments you've had in training have been unbelievable. Like genuine tries have been scored that like wouldn't try of the year either. Like, it's just, and at the moment, because we haven't played like that for so long, it's like we're just building. They keep calling these connections. Like, if Rocco gets half break, is someone going to be there? Do they know where he's going to be able to offload to? Is there like, so things like that? They would just build those connections, and it will slowly come. And like genuinely, we couldn't care less how we get on these first 4 games. It's just about building those performances, building those connections.
And I guess that goes back to why you play rugby. If you guys are coming off smiling, both forwards and backs, then you know you've done your job, because really it's got to be about enjoying it.
It was savage last year, genuinely, like, because we like worked hard as forwards, but coming off and we got Anthony, Rocco, Rory, Wilmuir, like these guys are just like Big Joe. Like, we just weren't giving them ball in space. Like we couldn't. We've got some of the best back 3 players in the world, and we just couldn't give them ball in space. And
it's not only that too. It's like what we've been working on this season, being brave and like pulling those passes. And you know, if there's spaces out there, you just kick. But last season or the season before that, we were not really brave in taking that opportunity. Like we were kind of like waiting for like the perfect picture, which doesn't really come in like rugby games and stuff like that. So, but now, with the way we attack and the way the coaches are giving the green light for the players to do, to be brave and pull the passes or the kicks and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why players like the back 3 and even all the backs are coming out with like a smile on their faces, because they know they've done their bit. Yeah.
I saw last year Josh put in a dummy on Danny Kerr and scored a try for it against Queens.
Did you?
Did you?
Oh, you stepped in.
I mean, out of 10, how much would you give the
He
big
taught me
lad?
how to do that.
It was that week we were doing one-on-one drills,
Yeah.
so I had to take the credit
You've
for
been
that.
working
yeah.
on.
I've been working on
I
it.
actually posted it up on Instagram.
You did,
Yeah, I did.
It must have been. That was worth
Semesa,
it.
Rokoduguni.
Are you
Yeah.
a frustrated winger? I mean,
I think I might be. Yeah.
You do like scoring a try.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I had a few at the end of the year. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
celebrated, no?
I did. No, I was too tired.
You
Way
made
too tired.
second row your home, but are you quite happy to? Would you play back row?
No, not now. No. Like honestly, some of the athletes we've got now, and because of like the way the game's going now, there's obviously a physical element to the game, which is probably where my size and everything comes into it. But the game's going to slowly, like I think, transition into like you won't get players of my size, and it'll become very like a nimble game again, just because
some
of how.
some of the back rows up
Yeah.
there, they're just rapid. I looked at like the likes of Josh Bailey's and who else was out there?
Josh
Chippy,
Bailey. Yeah. Last year we had a
Chippy.
second row crisis, and Josh Bailey's, who's unfortunate not to be cut by Scotland yet, went into the second row and just made a mockery. He's like going to take my job, I think. I was like, you need to stop doing that because he's a back rower. Just did all the jobs of a second row, but then was made like 20 tackles.
Twice, yeah.
He's like quicker than any back. I was like, is this genuinely like how the game's going to go? Like it might do. Like I don't know, but.
Just this training session here, he intercepted the ball and everyone was chasing it and there was no way we can get close. I was like, yeah, go on, score a try.
Yeah.
Whatever,
No, I think my day. I'd have played a bit back row over time, but like, not anymore. I'm quite happy in the second row.
What's it like to score a try at the Rec?
Very good, yeah. I like it. It feels a bit like alien now. Like
Been that long?
Yeah,
well, it's been a bit. Well, no, not long ago.
It's
But
been
there's
long
no,
for
there's
me.
no crowd.
Yeah.
There's like
When
no.
was the last time I scored a try?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you need the crowd there, really.
Yeah, there's just like it's just. I'm so excited, like because we managed to get 4,000 at the end of last season, and it was like it did sound like it was full. Like people are just high on life, like the fact they can watch live sport again.
Yeah.
So to have a full Rec this weekend is going to be unbelievable.
mental,
Like, it was
yeah.
so good, and just like the pictures we got of like scoring that try at like the last minute to win the game at the end of last season. Like you just want to get those moments back again because it was an inconvenience to start with at COVID, and then it just became annoying. Like I know obviously there's reasons for it, but like you want to play sport in front of a crowd, and like we're looking forward to this year.
Yeah.
Especially one like the Rec.
Yeah, best venue you've played rugby at? Best venue you've played?
Where'd be good?
Army Military Stadium.
Aldershot.
Aldershot.
Has it
Holton?
been running out at
Holton?
Twickenham?
Holton, even better.
Holton on the slope.
Yeah.
Orange fencing.
Yeah. The lines can't straight.
It was.
Do you think Twickenham with England?
Yes, yeah. That's
Against
against New Zealand, as well. They were lining up for the haka, and I've seen it most of the time on telly, but never seen it like right when the boys are doing it in front of me, and I can't hear a word they're saying because of the crowd. They were like saying like.
Is that the crowd doing it with them, or the crowd?
No,
It's
the England crowd.
booing
Yeah,
them
they were
when
booing
they're
them and all that, and I was like.
Would you say that was your greatest sporting memory? Facing down the haka with England?
Yes, yeah. It was the build up to that. Well, I phoned up my dad, and they were surprised that I got the call up, and they were in tears, my mum and my dad, and that was But the whole of the rest of the village, they were like, why are you playing for England?
Oh, really?
Why?
Yeah.
You should be playing for Fiji. I was like, nah, I'm going for this. So, but yeah, it was 2 or 3 weeks before that. Nicky Little came in, and he was watching the session, and he came up to me and said, right, I don't want you to play for Fiji. I want you to play for England. Be the first Fijian to play for England. That's where, like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it,
Good for you.
But it was one of my greatest memory of rugby,
What about for you?
I've genuinely had some unbelievable memories, but I still like it's still like when we won the IS. Like even though like I've done so much since then, like winning the IS at Aldershot.
When did you guys won?
Was it Aldershot or was it which was it?
No, that was a state. Nah.
So like beating the Army at Aldershot.
Yeah.
Yes, remember that.
For the first time because we drew to the Navy, which was like oh my God, we haven't lost for the first time. It was amazing. And then beating the Army at Aldershot.
Yeah.
Like I've never coming off the pitch and just having like, because there was a good group of guys that we'd just probably been through that the whole time. Like we'd been through the losing 50-0, losing all those games, and to finally turn it around to get that. Like
Together,
I think
yeah.
It was 1 year when emotions got.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
we probably shouldn't bring that up.
But no, like I think obviously there was a way that year that the Army could, or the Navy could have still won the IS or something.
Yeah.
So like the whole team had to go to Twickenham, and just that whole year it was unbelievable. And,
Well, I can't wait for next year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
been a long
Can't
time.
wait to see
Yeah.
you all again. And
What, 2 years now? Is that?
Yep,
Yeah.
it'll be 2. Well, once you get to
Two,
IS
yeah,
next year,
it'll
it'll be
be
a 2-year
yeah.
break. But we're so glad you're here. Finally, the sun's come out
Yeah.
at Farley House, which
And
is what
enjoy
I
it while you still
demanded.
can. Yeah.
And Dec, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Our first
Aren't we
podcast.
out on deck, really?
I'm not sure.
Chaz and Dave and Deck.
Chaz
not
and
sure.
Dave, 2 Ronnies.
It's a real pleasure, always is, and obviously we will keep a close eye on you guys during the season and Bath in general and everywhere else we have Premiership rugby players, and
Cool.
I'm including the Premier 15s as well, because obviously a lot
There's a lot of girls.
of
in
action in there too. So thanks so much.
Great start.
Cool.
Great start to your podcast.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
let's hope so.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's you guys who'll be bringing
Yeah.
this.
Well,
Let's do it properly now, right? Turn the cameras on.
On that, thanks very much.